everyone. Welcome to our Maker Spotlight. My name is Maggie Cullen. I am the Wholesale Director for Oh You're Lovely. And today with me, I have Samantha Marshall from The Velvet Leaf by Anchored Wishes Gifts, based out of Horseheads, New York. Hi, Samantha. How are you doing today?
Good. How are you?
Good, good. I see you're busy on the go today. Is that right?
Yes, that's almost every day.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, let's start off pretty simple or basic. I was reading your information and got a little emotional about how you got started with wood flowers in general. So do you want to touch on how this all began for you?
Sure. So I've been following wood flowers since the very beginning. Everyone knows the beginning story of that.
Yeah.
Um, I was pregnant with my youngest. He's 7 now, which that went by very quickly.
Yeah.
Um, I was 7 months pregnant with him, and I was working remote. I had a stroke, and my husband at the time said, you can't work, you can't, make a baby and do all the things at
Yeah.
once.
Yeah.
So I was put on bed rest. Excuse me. I was put on bed rest. Everything was fine with my youngest, but I was just so bored. And then I started playing with the wood flowers, and it took
Yeah.
off so quickly that I couldn't keep up.
Yeah.
But it's a good thing.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And your business has seen tremendous growth over the years. I mean, you've
Yep.
you have a retail location and you actually recently switched retail locations. Is that right?
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
Location. I'm not in the middle of nowhere, but I do have, there's farmland everywhere, but I do have like smaller cities around, but location is so huge when choosing your spot for your business. It
Yeah.
can make or break it.
Yeah.
Um, the My first retail location was not a good spot. It was on a dead end street. It was in a bad area. So most of my sales came from online word of
Right.
mouth, no walk-in traffic whatsoever.
Yeah. And that's hard when you have a retail spot, like you want the walk-in traffic.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah. So now the location we're at, how long has it been since you moved?
We closed down the first location right after Valentine's Day of this year,
Okay.
and we opened about a month later at the new location. So March.
Okay, great. And you've seen better things come from this move?
Yes. Yes. So aside from the wood flowers, I also do live house plants, more on the rare side, things you can't find at Lowe's, Home Depot, Walmart. But
Right.
we also have a freeze-dried candy business that we've incorporated. We've involved our kids in that. We
Oh,
can't keep a lot of things on the shelves, and that's strictly walk-in traffic. It's
yeah.
crazy how much of a difference there is.
That's awesome. Yeah, I was actually going to ask you about the live plants and the freeze dried candy because I was on your Facebook page earlier and I was like, this is amazing. I didn't know that you and your family were the ones making the freeze dried
Yep.
candy. That's awesome. That's awesome. So, we touched a little bit about this, but how has your business changed over time? I mean, you started just by dabbling in wood flowers to not be bored and keep
Yep.
the brain moving. And then now it's blossomed into a retail location and more products being added. So how has that been? Have there been any challenges, any like specific rewarding moments from all of that?
Um, I'll start with that. The rewarding moments are, I know everybody in my town and they know me.
That's
Well, I
awesome.
won't say I know everybody, but everybody has heard of me or been in my store, or my kids go to school and they're like, my mom has a store. What does your mom do? So that's kind of
It's a
rewarding.
definite perk. Yeah.
Yeah, all the teachers know who I am. I mean, that's a good thing when teachers know who the parents are.
I mean,
Um,
I bet you give them pretty awesome teacher appreciation and end of
they
year
do.
gifts.
Yeah, yeah.
You're like, let me go shopping in my own shop today.
Yes, let's put a gift basket together for their donation thing.
Yeah.
Um, but it has changed. I mean, I have a background in tech, so that comes in handy.
Yeah.
So I have a degree in computer networking, I was a purchasing manager for an e-commerce company that did mostly Amazon. So sourcing product, I have that background, but it is not a one person job and it is just me. I do have a partner that helps when he can. More so, he'll switch out with me. Like when kid things come up and I have to be
Yeah.
with the kids, like he'll just sit in the store and
Right.
do whatever. Um,
He knows how to work the register.
yep, he knows how to work the register. Wood flowers he can't do, but he can work the register and take down an order form.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, but yeah, it's changed so much just by incorporating new things, and you have to like, usually companies have a person that is just finding new things, and that was my purchasing manager job. That was my sole purpose, to find new product to put in the store, and that is a 24/7 full-time job. Your brain is always on.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So I guess
Oh, I
what
think you. Yep.
oh, what is your favorite thing about owning your shop?
Um, it's a little selfish, but I get to actually be there for my kids when they need me to.
Mhm.
Everyone knows that it's mostly just me.
Yeah.
My customers are very understanding. They're amazing. I always post online on the Facebook page. I leave a note on the door if I have to leave early. No one's ever really given me a hard time about that.
Yeah.
And that's not something you can do when you're tied to a desk.
For sure, for sure. And I wouldn't say that's selfish. I think that's a reason why so many people go into entrepreneurship and ownership, is to have some flexibility, to know like I'm going to spend a lot of time at work and working on my business, but when I have to, I can go back to my
Yep.
family or whatever needs me at that moment. And I think, you know, I wouldn't say it's selfish. I'd say it's just,
I mean, it's part mom guilt, and then you
yeah.
know, take moms don't take time for themselves, and everything just
Right.
happens to be, you know.
Right. Um, so is there anything new and upcoming with your business? And just to go into the wood flowers a little bit, are you doing, products that are on shelves in your shop? Are you doing custom orders, weddings, any of that sort of stuff?
So we've done mostly weddings. Putting product on the shelf is probably one of the hardest things to do.
Yeah.
Um, the good thing about that, like if you're working with fresh flowers, they're going to die if they don't get sold, and you have to reuse them somehow very quickly. The wood flowers, if it doesn't sell for 3 months and it's sitting on the shelf, I take it apart and make something else out of it, and usually that's when it goes right
Yeah.
away.
Yeah.
um yeah.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And has it seemed pretty seamless because of your purchasing background to add on the different products? Like, does your shop feel cohesive? Are you bringing on different vendors, or is it all you sourcing everything?
So I started in the other location. I used to do smaller businesses that didn't have a home and that needed a space to put their stuff on the shelves. I
Mhm.
used to do consignment,
Yeah.
and I'm learning. I actually took the time to run the numbers for one of my vendors, and I was actually losing $2 for every product that was sold
Oh,
after all
wow.
the fees and everything that was coming out. Um, so I've learned wholesale is the way to go,
Yeah.
or just buy it outright. That way I can discount it how I want it. Um, Consignment, not so much. So we've gotten
Right.
away from that. We do have other smaller vendors. I'm at the point where I feel like I can pick and choose what I want in my store,
Yeah.
as opposed to 3 years ago when I was just opening the store and just taking anybody that would put
Yeah.
their stuff on the shelf.
Yeah, right. That's interesting about consignment. So you said you were losing money because were you paying the processing fees, credit card fees, and all of that
And
stuff?
taxes. Yep.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
That's wild.
Yep.
That's
And then some people, there's other boutiques in the area. What they opt to do is they have their vendor come in, put their stuff on the shelves, and then they have a QR code. But you're not really making anything unless you're charging a monthly rent, which for someone just starting out with their products are a little iffy about. And
right.
I want to be as nice as possible, but you also don't want to be taken advantage of. So we're
Sure.
just buying everything out outright rather than consignment and the QR codes and whatnot.
That's very cool. That's very cool. So you recently, what, 3 months ago, 2 months ago, moved into this new space.
Yep.
Are there big plans for expansion? Or are we gonna ride this wave out to see how things are going?
So when we switched spaces, so this new space is laid out better. The first
Okay.
space was very narrow. My
Yeah.
workspace was open, so it was always messy. You could see everything.
Okay.
Also, customers don't know boundaries very well unless they're very clearly marked. So they wanted to go back there and pull things off the shelves that I was working on. But this new space has a completely separate room. And oh, that's the other thing. So my last space had a bathroom, but it didn't have a ceiling. So when my son would come into the store after school and had his regular bowel movement, everyone could hear it. But this new space has a completely separate bathroom, separate workspace. It's all closed off. But once we got everything in, I was like, we probably should have opted for the bigger space. But they didn't have, because we're in the mall. That's the other thing.
Oh,
So
okay.
there's
Always good
guaranteed
stuff.
traffic on certain days. So the mall gave us demographics, which entrances had the most people coming in, the times that they came in. So we strategically picked that spot, but they didn't have a medium sized spot. They had my spot and then a like 3,000 square foot spot, which was just way too big.
Yeah, yeah.
So we're doing what we can with the space we have. We're getting creative.
Yeah, yeah. Amazing. I'm sure things have gone vertical. The only way they could go. That's awesome.
Yep.
That's awesome. Very cool that you're in a mall too. I know malls in certain locations have been like dying down, but it's good to hear that you were in one that is like, nope, we still got people coming in. All of that. That's
They're doing really well trying to get small businesses in. So rather than there's two different kinds of leasing options. They do percentage rent. So you have your base rent, but then if you have a bad month, you're only paying your base rent and not, the excess.
oh, very
So they
cool.
do try to work with small businesses. Yeah.
That's very good. So one other question I have is you're well known in your town, right? And so everyone kind of knows, they know the Velvet Leaf by Anchor Wishes Gifts and all of that. But you did mention that before that you were getting a lot of online business. So, and I'm sure everything's kind of running concurrently with that.
Mhm.
How do you market yourself outside of your town? Or even locally, like how did you get to be the one who's known known
So
all?
it started, I was the wood flower lady. And that's from my kids. So that's we had just moved in, I think it was 2018. I had just moved into this town, knew absolutely nobody, school's starting. Okay, what the first day of school, you give the teachers a present. So we made little arrangements for all the teachers. I've actually gotten to the point where I get called back every year now to do a career day. Um, Last year at the old location, I had three separate occasions. A high school art class visited, spoke about my craft and running a business, and basically getting them to realize that sitting behind a desk is not the only option.
Right.
Uh, we've done radio advertisements. We've held something called Plant Fest, where we bring in other vendors. And at that particular event, we did the freeze-dried candy, the wood flowers, the
Yeah.
plants. We did it all.
Yeah.
And that event, we got, I think it was around 1,200 people that said that they were interested or going, which was unheard of for this specific event location.
Yeah.
And it's mostly word of mouth. I really don't pay for advertising unless there's something specific going on a
Right.
specific day. Yep.
Right. Right. That's amazing. That's amazing. What, so we're getting close to closing up. What is some advice you would give to someone just starting out or even established in the small business world, in the creative small business world, what is some advice you would give?
Do your research, find out who your target person is, because that's probably the most important thing. Find a great location, actually like stand in that location and watch. Like my first location, I didn't do this and I probably should have.
Yeah.
The first time I went down that street was to look at the location, and that was it. I didn't go back. I should have. I didn't realize it was a dead end street.
Yeah.
It was a very seasonal spot. It was
Mm,
only busy in the summer, not the winter or anything like that. I should have asked other business owners in the area questions
yeah.
about the street in the area.
Yeah.
Um, and have patience and give yourself some grace and realize you can't do it all, even though
Mm,
you want to.
yeah.
And my biggest thing is I don't ask for help when I need it until it gets to the point where it's almost too late. Um, that's something that I'm working on. It's a personal goal of mine to learn to stop and assess the situation and actually ask for help and know that people are going to give you the help as long as you ask for it.
Yeah, yeah. And I think, there's no shame. I think a lot of us hold on to this shame of,
Yep.
but I said I could do it all. Why can't I do it all? Like, and so I think, that's something so many of us, especially women in the business field, like we can do things, but
Yep.
sometimes it takes another set of hands or another brain to connect with and
Mhm.
talk about what's out there or what our next move is. And it's okay to ask for help. We are doing it all. It's just sometimes you need another person to like bounce things off of.
Yep.
That's awesome. My final question is, what is the most rare exotic plant you've had in your shop? Have you
Oh, the
had like
most
a pink? Isn't there like a pink
a pink princess,
pink?
which
Okay.
not as rare as you would think.
Okay.
There's a very large distributor that created something called tissue culture, which they've created and duplicated this plant in a lab, which has brought the price way down. So for reference, last year, a small 6-inch pot of pink princess philodendron would have costed you $150. Today, you can get it for 25.
Amazing. So I don't know if it was like, I don't know if it's my location in Virginia or whatever. I am part of some of these plant groups. And there were times when I saw it on sale in like the boutique plant shops for
Mm-hmm.
$100.
Yep.
Like, and a small 4-inch, 6-inch, like for $500. Anyway,
Yep.
I was like, I had to ask about that. So what is the actual most rare?
Um, The most rare I've had in my store, Monstera albos and Monstera Thai constellations. I sold 2 weeks ago a 5-leaf Monstera Thai, not quite mature, but not juvenile, um, for around $500. If I would have sold it last year, I was looking at about $2,000.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah,
Oh my goodness. The plant craze is real,
it
and
is.
it's good to get involved in that for sure. And it plays so nicely with the wood flowers too.
Mhm.
It's like,
Yep.
here are things for people with green thumbs, and here are things
Yes.
for those of you that need something that is never going to die.
Yep.
You can't
Exactly.
relate to that. Amazing. So, is there anything else going on or anything that you wanted to share with any of the people that would be watching this about either you, your business, or just things to know?
Oh, things to know. Find your people. That's the biggest thing. I have a very, very small tribe, we'll call it. Um, those are my people. I have 2 kids, a 9-year-old and a 7-year-old. Right now, it is sports season. So one's in softball, one's in baseball. They usually have games at the same time in 2 different places. And
Mm,
it's usually when I'm in the store during my store hours.
yeah.
Um, find your people and don't forget to ask for help.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And I think, when it comes to the family life and things like sports and events and stuff, like your busiest time in the shop is outside of normal work hours.
Yep.
And that's when these events and these, games and all of that will be too. So
Yep.
yeah, you're gonna need, hey, can you give my kids a ride to their game? Like,
Yep.
I'll meet you after for pizza or whatever it is.
Yep.
Yeah, yeah. Awesome. Well, thank you so, so much for this. I really, really appreciate it. For all of you out there who may be watching this, if you are interested in being spotlighted with our Maker Spotlight for Oh You're Lovely, we will have a link below in the comments. But once again, we have Samantha Marshall here with The Velvet Leaf by Anchored Wishes Gifts, based in Horseheads, New York. Thank you so much for your time. We really appreciate it. And best of luck to your new location.
Thank you.
You're welcome.